Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're giving you the final part of our Week 16 fantasy football starts and sits. That's right, it's championship week. We're here to help you make all the right decisions on who should be in your lineup, who you need to sit, and who's going to break your heart if you make the wrong decision. Let's start this fantasy football podcast right meow.
Buzz's girlfriend. Woof. Hello and welcome to the Fantasy Football Upside. I am Justin, and that is Kyle. Thanks for dropping by our Fantasy Football podcast and YouTube channel. Today we're giving you the second part of our start-sit questions for Sunday and Monday games for Week 16. You definitely want to check out our first part, Week 16 start-sits, by clicking where Kyle's going to point. Also down in the description below. And if you haven't checked it out yet, you want to check out our top starts, streamers, and fades episode from earlier this week in the description below as well. Kyle, what you got before we get rolling right into these Sunday, Monday?
Yeah, so guys, it's Week 16. We're going to be here all off season, so make sure that you hit the subscribe button as well as the bell. That way you're notified every time we upload the podcast. I've mentioned it before. We're one of the few podcasts that's out there in fantasy football that actually does 5 days a week during the off season. For the early part of the off season, we probably won't do 5 days a week, but we'll do probably close to 3, somewhere in that neighborhood, give or take. But by the beginning of summer, we're generally up to 5 episodes a week, and we'll get you ready for your drafts. We'll entertain you as best we can, saying stupid stuff that's probably wrong in fantasy football because it's really too early to be talking about it. But hey, we're having fun. You can also get in good with us and ask us stupid questions. We'll talk to you. We're also trying, I think we're going to hope to do some live stuff next year. I think we're going to try to do some live stuff next season. We will toy with that during the summer. So there'll be a few opportunities for people to give us a boatload of crap during the off season. Hey, if you've got questions about how to win this week, make sure you drop your question down below in the comments, or you can hit us up over on Twitter, because we're always asking. And we're here to help, guys. We're going to help out best we can. Let's dive in headfirst in the shallow end and clear up the confusion surrounding these last start-sit matchups. Get you through your championship game. Get that upside championship. That's right. Cleveland at New York Jets. All right. So Cleveland Browns, Baker Mayfield, he is a start there. Jets are allowing third most fantasy points to the QB position. So fire him up. Fire him up in your starter in single QB leagues. I think you can get away with it. I think you can. I've got him in a super flex league, and I'm going to, he's out there. Why? Because I've also got Mitch Trubisky out there. Nick Chubb, not the greatest matchup, but hey, Nick Chubb's a stud. Kareem Hunt, here's a curious thing. He usually actually gets a lot of work when the running defenses are better, and the Jets actually only allow the 22nd most fantasy points to the running back. So it's not a terrible situation because Kareem Hunt does better in those scenarios. Dearness Johnson could be a guy who
I was more talking about actually. So the running back matchup for Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt might be a little bit better based off the numbers, because Quinnen Williams actually got hurt last week and could be. It looks like he's out for the rest of the year.
I think they put him on IR.
They did. So that's why I think on paper it's a tough matchup, but I think it's going to be a little bit easier for Chubb and Hunt.
Yeah.
But that's
thank goodness. I'm not going to see him in the championship here. Jarvis Landry is a start. Rashard Higgins is a start. And Austin Hooper is a start. I think that Higgins could blow up actually this week. I think that this is one of those big opportunity weeks. And Austin Hooper, the targets are really up and down, but his efficiency has been good lately. I think that he made our streamers of the week as a possible play. So Jets, yes, no?
This is my notes here. I still can't start any Jets players. That's my notes.
Why? Because they are the worst. Yeah, we got to get in that drop while we still can.
I don't know. This organization would probably still be talking about them the next couple of years. The only ones I would even think about just based off volume is Frank Gore and Jamison Crowder, just based off volume. But even then, you're not going to start either one of those guys if you're in the championship round right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
if
the
you had
Jets,
any of those guys, you're in the consolation bracket and you've already been knocked out of the consolation bracket. Sorry.
if you're relying on them, yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the Jets are so bad that they even lost the first pick in the draft. That's how bad they are. They lost Trevor Lawrence. All right, so we've got Carolina Panthers at the Washington football team next. Carolina, Teddy Bridgewater is a start in 2 QB and super flex only, and I think that's desperation. Washington's been a really good defense. They're allowing the 25th most fantasy points to the QB, so it's not a great situation. Carolina has not been doing well lately. Mike Davis, I think, is a flex only. It's a tough matchup, and injuries along the line to both Daly and Okung leave them in rough shape in the running game. Russell Okung is a running guy. That's a really big loss there for them. It looks like those guys are both going to be out this week. Robbie Anderson, it's just not the time to have to start Robbie Anderson. So that's where I'm at. What do you have here, Justin, on Washington?
So for the Washington football team, I guess in a 2 QB or a super flex, you might start Mr. Strip Club, Dwayne Haskins. If Alex Smith is playing, you're going to start him in a super flex, but you just have to keep an eye on practice participation. Even after getting slapped with a fine, Haskins was still taking QB1 snaps during practice. So that's something to keep an eye.
He wasn't just Mr. Strip Club. He was also stripped of his captaincy.
Yeah.
By the team. So
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
That's big. That was good.
It's very clever. It's very clever.
Clever.
How's that working for you?
All right. So for running back, Antonio Gibson actually has returned to practice this week. It has been in limited capacity, of course, but if he plays, they're not going to, send him out there because he's part of the future. They're not going to send him out there if they don't think he's healthy enough to play and not re-injure. So I think he's a great start if he does. Terry McLaurin, here's the thing with him. He's had the same amount of finishes outside the top 36 as he has within the top 36 the last 4 games. But when Haskins starts, he's averaging about 9.5 targets a game. So that means you are relevant in fantasy football. And then Logan Thomas, he had 15 targets last week. Let's hope for somewhere around the same. I would love to have 15 targets again, but that might be a little tough.
He led the league in targets. Not just a tight end.
Yeah.
Everybody. Yeah. Yep. I started him in a multi-flex and super flex league after also getting a jump start with Darren Waller. So it's needless to say, I made the championship in that one. All right. Denver Broncos at the Los Angeles Chargers. We have Drew Lock, 2 QB and super flex play. He's back in QB2 this week, I think. They are allowing the 7th most points to the fantasy points to the QB. The Chargers are. So it's not the worst spot start there if you need something. I don't know why you would if you're in the championship week, but maybe you have some reason. Maybe it's 2 QB. Philip Lindsay is a flex with PPR upside this week. I'm actually off of Melvin Gordon this week. I don't think it's a good spot. I don't think it's a good matchup for him. Mm-hmm. Same thing with Jerry Jeudy. I think this is a tough matchup. Same thing with Tim Patrick. But Noah Fant, I say fire him up. They're allowing the 7th most fantasy points to the tight end. So between Drew Lock and Fant, I think you actually have a situation where if they figure that out and in numbers, if they figure that out, then that's the route they're going to try to exploit. So that's where I'm going with it. What do you have on the Chargers?
Justin Herbert. I mean, he's gotten you this far, so you're definitely going to start him up against the Broncos, who actually give up the 10th most points to opposing quarterbacks. Austin Eckler is a guy that I would still start. I mean, he's still recovering from the hamstring injury. It's one of those ones that kind of lingers throughout the whole season, most likely, and then you're not going to get fully back until off season, but he still has enough of the targets and volume to be very relevant in the running back 2 category. Keenan Allen, you had a really good poll out there. What was that poll that you had?
I said, what's worse? Josh Jacobs lying to everybody or posting that he's not playing, or Keenan Allen telling the camera, don't sit me?
And then he put up like
Keenan
one
Allen.
catch.
Keenan Allen won that poll.
Yeah.
I think that was a little bit of recency bias because Josh Jacobs had done it the week before.
Yeah.
But
Keenan Allen has missed practice on Tuesdays and Wednesday, or Tuesday and Wednesday. So definitely check out his Thursday, Friday participation to see if you want to start him. Even if he has been practicing, that's still a tough start because this is always what happens. It's the Keenan Allen roller coaster. By the end of the year, he's going to finish as a wide receiver 2, but at any one of those weeks, he's cost you a game. But Hunter Henry, I think he made our fades of the week this week. He finally had a good game last week, and you are desperate at tight end most likely, unless you are Kyle, who has Darren Waller and Logan Thomas in the same league. But if you're not one of those guys, you're probably going to have to start him. So it's just not the greatest of matchups.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
And you know, Keenan Allen, I just wanted to mention, we talked about him during the offseason and how he had 8 games in that last season in 2019 in which he was just absolutely unstartable in any league, in any context, where he was like wide receiver 70 plus.
Yep.
And so he's been a little bit better this year in his consistency. And I think that has a lot more to do with Herbert just zeroing in on him repeatedly. Yeah. But Anthony Lynn said that he thinks that he's focused too much on Keenan Allen. So I think they are trying to prevent him from doing that. And I think they're using the injury to try to accomplish that to some extent. All right, Philadelphia Eagles at the Dallas Cowboys. This is a divisional matchup. This could be, I don't know, this could be the team who wins this might make the playoffs. I don't know. Jeez. I have no idea what's going on in the NFC East anymore. I think Washington's leading right now, but Philadelphia could win it still, that kind of thing. Yeah, it's crazy. All right,
to the toilet bowl.
yeah. So they've said Jalen Hurts is the starter this week. They're not making any statements beyond this week, though.
That's so stupid.
Why would you? They owe like $28 million to Carson Wentz next year, and another like $38 million the year after that. I mean, they basically said, yeah, you know that contract that Kirk Cousins got, but we're going to do a little bit worse. Better for you, worse for us. That's what they did, basically. So Jalen Hurts, he's starting. Could be a league winner, but only if you had enough fab money to get him, right?
Yep.
So we were asking earlier last week, I think, how much is he?
If you have to ask, big man, you can't afford it.
That's right. You can't afford it if you have to ask. All right. Miles Sanders, he's a start. 6th most fantasy points to the running back position this season. So definitely fire him up. Jalen Reagor, start him, I think, too, even. There's 2nd most fantasy points to the wide receiver. Could be a game that sets his offseason hype train into motion. Really could. You have to remember, you have to remind yourself, it's the Eagles. So during the offseason, when the hype machine is moving on Reagor, just say to yourself, it's the Eagles. It's the Eagles. It's the Eagles. I got to stop it. I know that maybe we've got some Eagles fans listening. They know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
You would think, that's going to kind of make them mad. But no, they know what I'm saying.
They're just shaking their head. Yep.
Miles Sanders, he's just woefully underused and incorrectly used. Greg Ward, hey, he's a start. He's getting targets. He's getting red zone opportunities, even with Hurts out there. He put up points last week. He actually did. I had him on my bench in that Superflex league, and he was the one guy who I could have put into my lineup and done better with. Dallas Goedert, it's a decent matchup, but Hurts his value. So, like what I did there. Yeah. It's very clever. How's that working for you? Yeah.
All right. For the Cowboys, Andy Dalton is just a 2 QB or super flex play. Ezekiel Elliott, if he plays, I would only feel confident in the flex, and I don't even feel confident even saying that.
Yep.
But if he is still out, which, I mean, he's nursing a calf injury, Tony Pollard, he could be a high-end running back too.
Calf injury.
Yeah, calf injury.
A I've been trashed this year injury.
Right. Yeah. Save face. But yeah, I like Tony Pollard's chances if Zeke is out again. Amari Cooper, where'd you go last week, man? You definitely need a bounce back here for this game. So hopefully that's going to happen. CeeDee Lamb, he's a good wide receiver 3 play. He has more upside if Gallup were to miss this game, but it doesn't look like that's going to be what's going to happen because Gallup did get knocked out of the last week with a hip pointer, but looks like he's going to play. But I actually like a Cooper and Lamb and then Gallup. Those are my 1, 2, 3 with this team. But Dalton Schultz, I don't feel confident. This is not a good matchup for the tight end.
Nope. Yep. All right, we've got the Los Angeles Rams at the Seattle Seahawks. I'll take the Rams here. We've got Jared Goff. He's a start. You know this. The Seahawks have been just trash this year. They've been one of the, as a defense, they're one of the worst. That's right. They allow the 5th most fantasy points to the QB position. So I think Jared Goff is the sneaky QB1 play this week. Not that he's going to be QB1 overall, but that he'll be a QB1. And so if you have a situation where maybe you've got Russell Wilson on your team, I think you start Jared Goff over Russell Wilson this week. There's a couple situations I think that you start Jared Goff in. And I think he's going to finish as a QB1. Darrell Henderson, we were talking about this. It looks like so Cam Akers is out indefinitely with a high ankle sprain. Yep. And so the debate is, okay, is Henderson or Brown going to get the carries? We actually lean towards Henderson probably getting them. This is a bad situation to have to make this decision if you're stuck in this problem in your championship week. Hopefully you have other options available to you, but Henderson, if he gets the start and he gets the lion's share of carries, he could be a back end running back 2, probably somewhere around there. Maybe it's a middle of the road matchup. So it could be a blowout game because of the passing work. And as a result, maybe around the third quarter, middle of the third quarter, he starts getting some garbage time yardage. And that's what you're looking for here. Yep. But that's a roll of the dice. It's a big roll of the dice. Like I said, Cam Akers is out. Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp are obvious starts. 5th most fantasy points to wide receiver for both of those guys that they're facing. This defense is trash against the pass. Just trash. That's all I've got, though. I'm not starting anybody else. I'm going to avoid the tight ends, actually.
Yeah. All right. For Seattle, you kind of already mentioned this. Russell Wilson, if you have him, I would look for another starter out there. In non-superflex or 2 QB leagues, I am sitting him. But if you're in those 2 QB or superflex, you're definitely going to play him. But week 10, whenever the Seahawks played the Rams, he was the 19th best QB that week. Mm-hmm. That's going to come up again when I talk about week 10. But for Chris Carson, he is a start. He was not playing in week 10, but he's finally getting his volume back, and that's what Pete Carroll wants to do towards the end of the season is just keep feeding the running back the ball. Chris Carson is that running back. He's going to be a high-end running back too, even against this defense. When it comes to wide receivers, Tyler Lockett, I look at him as just a back-end wide receiver 3. That's where he finished last time they played. I think he was like 34th. And you might
that
be
was
lucky
the last time he was relevant. I think it was.
Yeah. It's been a really disastrous towards the end of this year for Tyler Lockett. And DK Metcalf is a guy that, has taken the world by storm, but you're still going to start him. But he was shut down in week 10 by Jalen Ramsey.
We warned about that. We said it would happen.
And
we said most likely.
You've been warned twice now about that. So it's do you have the cojones to start him if you have another person available in the wide receiver? I don't know. That's a tough play. It's a tough call.
I think I'm facing him in our league in the championship. Yeah. So I'm happy about that matchup. I don't have any DK Metcalf shares in any of the leagues that I'm playing in right now. All right. So Tennessee Titans at Green Bay Packers. Why don't you give us the Titans here?
Oh, yeah. Ryan Tannehill, he's been the number 7 QB so far this season. So, he's been an every week QB1 with a good rushing floor. I think that is one that's going to continue. So I will start him in this game. Derrick Henry is a beast. You mentioned off air and on air how the Packers defense has improved when it comes to getting the linebackers healthy. And with that, their run defense has been a little bit better. But it's still Derrick Henry. He's still a beast. A.J. Brown, Corey Davis. Excuse me. You're going to want to temper the expectations in this game, not only just because of the secondary with the Packers. It's also due to the fact that they're playing in Lambeau in a cold weather. May not throw it as much, but I think you're still going to get some wide receiver 2 production out of A.J. Brown, and you're probably looking at a low-end wide receiver 3 for Corey Davis.
Yep. All right. Aaron Rodgers. Hey, you're starting him. Sixth most fantasy points to the QB. He only threw 2 TDs last week, actually, but that was the first time since week 2 that he threw less than 3 touchdowns. Every other week, he's thrown 3 to 4 touchdowns every week.
Broke it. I think he broke the machine.
Yeah. High score. What's that mean? Does that mean I broke it? Like something wrong? Aaron Jones.
What's that from, everybody? What's that from?
What is that from? We love throwing that line out there.
Oh, yeah.
Aaron Jones, he's a start, 7th most fantasy points to the running back. Hey, Matt LaFleur, quit pulling a Mike McCarthy. Start unleashing Aaron Jones. You guys have been struggling a little bit. It's because you're not running Aaron Jones all the time. If you let him play, he could go ballistic in this game. It's entirely possible that he could go ballistic. Jamal Williams, I feel comfortable flexing him. He's getting a good amount of volume to the detriment of Aaron Jones. And that's why I feel comfortable about it. Is I think that they just want to keep splitting the carries, keep both these guys fresh. And they see that value there. Devontae Adams, you're firing him up if you got him, obviously, right? But guess what? You get that bonus. It's the 6th most fantasy points to the wide receiver defense in the league. That's awesome, right? So you're looking to bounce back, no doubt. And this is the matchup to do it in. I think that it might have been his worst game on the season last week. So it might have been enough to knock you out of the playoffs if he was your big guy. I know that the team who had him in our league got knocked out. They had a stack, actually, a really good stack. It was Rodgers and Adams. So, yeah. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, I think, is a flex, but he's unpredictable. So I'm looking more like multi-flex. He's a very boomer bust guy. I think he's gotten another play over 40 yards or something. He might now be the Packers all-time lead in touchdown, or I'm sorry, plays over 40 yards
in the first 3 years or something.
Yeah, the first 3 years. Yeah, he had 18 the last time I checked.
Jeez.
And guys like
the epitome of boomer bust.
yeah. Whereas like Jordy Nelson had, I think, 3. Donald Driver might have had 8. And Driver was fast. Robert Tonyan, he's a start. Not the best matchup, but not a terrible one. And if you've got him and he's gotten you this far, I think you're going to play him. He's a volume guy as far as like value of the catches that he's getting. He's not a volume guy as far as targets go. He's had no more than 5, I think, in any particular game. So he's just a high value target kind of guy. All right, moving on. We've got Buffalo at New England. I'll take Buffalo here. We've got Josh Allen. You're not going to sit him now, are you? Right? Maybe. But I think he is a start. But I do think you have to temper your expectations a little bit. New England allows the 3rd least fantasy points to the QB position. But guess what? They just lost Stephon Gilmore to the IR. But that does not mean that the backup isn't good. What you have to remember is that they'll rotate their safeties and corners. That's what they'll do. So it's not a drop from Stephon Gilmore to the guy coming off the bench. It's a drop from Stephon Gilmore to their number 2 guy who's already playing on the field. The real drop goes from the last guy who was on the field now moving up and being the second to last guy on the field.
Yeah.
So that secondary is still going to be solid. This isn't like a situation where you're looking at a running back coming off the bench to replace Derrick Henry or something like Durant Evans to Derrick Henry. That's very different because there's only one running back on the field. Usually you're looking at 4 guys in that secondary. So it's a little bit different. They work as a team anyway. Stephon Gilmore has been very beatable this year. So I'm concerned with Josh Allen in that regard. So I think people are pretty high on him, but I do want to voice some words of caution. Devin Singletary is a flex at best. He's split in touches, but New England allows the 9th most fantasy points to running back. So I think there's value there. He's splitting touches with Zach Moss. I think that they kind of eat each other's value. So they're both flex at best. Stephon Diggs, start him. You're going to start him. He's a stud. Without Gilmore to cover him, that gets even better. He could have a huge week this week, but he could also be facing a really good defense still. And they, the one thing Bill Belichick does with his defense every week, what does he do? He takes away your best player. Who's the best player on this team? It's very, very obviously Stephon Diggs.
Yep.
And so he may decide taking away Josh Allen is the best way to do anything, and that hurts Stephon Diggs too. Gabriel Davis is a multi-flex roll of the dice, in my opinion. So
yeah.
We got a New England.
Cole Beasley, PPR play only. Would you say that?
He's been kind of rough
He's up
the
and
last
down, up
few
and down.
weeks. Yeah. So I think that probably PPR only, and I would hope that maybe in a multi-flex situation.
Gotcha.
But
alrighty. For New England, Cam Newtown is just a yes, I like to call Cam Newtown. 2 QB or super flex only. You're only going to start him because of his rushing ability, because he has thrown 3 touchdowns in the last 5 games. 3.
You sure that's not the whole season?
Dang near close, man.
Yeah.
Dang near close.
I mean, what accidents happened that he threw touchdowns?
It was a tipped run, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Sony Michel is a desperation flex if Damian Harrison were to miss time, and that's a multi-flex desperation. But Damian Harris, if he does play, I mean, put him in your flex if he's active, if you have to.
I think he's gonna go.
I think so too. It was very, right down to the wire. I mean, I guess he was downgraded on Saturday, but still, that's pretty close for New England.
Yeah.
Just one little word of note. Julian Edelman has been, I think, activated off the IR, so he may play, but we already talked about who's throwing the ball, so I'm just going to say pass on that. Don't fall into that. Don't be that guy.
Yeah.
Don't be that guy.
And that's all I got.
Yep. All right, guys, that's going to do it for championship week, right? Week 16, most leagues have championships. And if you're in a week 17 that has championship, man, get out of that league. That's not a fun one, guys.
No.
Especially with the way things are playing this year. I can't imagine being in a week 17 championship league. So hopefully we have helped you out. If you have any additional questions, make sure that you hit us up down below or over on Twitter so we can answer any start sit questions. Maybe you've got some last minute waiver questions, that sort of stuff. We'll try to help you out as best we can. Make sure you hit that subscribe button as well as the bell. That way you're notified every time we upload this podcast. We're going to be here all off season. We're looking forward to actually getting back into the off season program a little bit and dealing with that. And we do a lot of rankings. We rank at least 3 times. We do a wholesale new rank of every position. We spend, I think it takes around 2 weeks of publishing to get that all out. But we go real deep with that stuff. So it's actually a lot of fun. That's where we get a lot more into the, thick of things, the deep conversation about players and stuff. And so if you're really into the deeper thoughts about that sort of thing and picking up strategy on how we go and get into 4 out of 4 leagues that we play in championship game, then, hey, sit down and watch us during the off season, because you're going to learn some things that way. And maybe you learn some things you don't like to do too. That's possible as well. I don't know. And actually we're in the championship game of the first expert league we've ever been in. So
yes,
there we go. That's been fun. It's a very interesting league. A lot of fun. So yeah. All right, guys, I will make sure to put the episode from yesterday, the first round of start sits matchups onto the screen, as well as our top start streamers and fades, so that you have all the information that you need to be locked and loaded and ready to win that championship. And remember, if you win that championship, get down in the comments below and gloat. Let us know that you did it. Let us know that we helped you. Let us know that you thought that we were idiots and you did the opposite and you won. Whatever it is, let us know why you won, how you won. We want to hear it. Thanks for being fans of the Upside. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.